Good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Munoz. I'm a PhD student in New Testament at Andrews University in Michigan. And today we're going to begin a series on the book of Revelation. And we're going to do some syntax analysis and exegetical analysis and some theological reflections, in the middle. What we're gonna do is we're gonna choose a book, and I'm gonna choose some passages from each chapter until we get to chapter 22. And then once we finish the book of Revelation, we're gonna jump into the Gospel of John and his epistles, and then after that we're gonna follow with the book of Romans, and then the book of Galatians after that, and we're gonna end with the book of First Corinthians. So there are some resources that I want to indicate to you that will be our companion throughout our conversation. These resources are, number one, the Greek grammar, Beyond Basis by Daniel Wallace. This is going to be our main source of information, and you can, if you have it, or if you can buy it, you can, go there and see what we have been explaining and all the categories for the different syntax of the New Testament. There is a Skinner version. It's the same, but it has less information. It has less passages and examples, and the conversation is a little bit, a little bit more limited. But it's very helpful as well if you want to just get a quick glimpse of what Wallace is trying to convey and explain. And the last resource is this guide. This is a quick reference guide. And here Wallace has listed all the nuances that appear in the big book, or the skinnier book, and you can use them as a quick reference. Let's say you want to know, you come across an accusative in reading your Greek New Testament, and you want to know what kind of accusative is that. So you go to your quick reference guide, and then you find the accusative, and then all the nuances and categories for that particular for the accusative. And the same thing with other cases like the genitive and the dative or the nominative, or also the participle, the infinitive, relative clauses, all of those categorizations that we find in the Greek New Testament. So another thing that I want to say before I start working at the passage for today is that you need at least Greek 1 to kind of follow along. Or if you understand Greek, you're going to be able to follow along too. But to follow all the nuances and all the different categories of syntax as we find them in Wallace, you probably need to be a little bit familiar with Wallace and with the Greek New Testament. So if you have taken Greek 1 and Greek 2, that would be fantastic. You will be on track, kind of going along with the explanation. So, hey, any feedback, any positive of negative comments are welcome, and let's jump into the text. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to do a general translation as literal as possible, and then after that we're going to go verse by verse, paying attention to special nuances as I see them in the Greek New Testament. Okay, so let me get my pointer here so that you can follow along and see where I'm going. So here is the Apocalypsis Jesu Christou. Now, the first thing I want to indicate here is there is no article. There's no definite article in the Greek New Testament. But when you translate it into English, the English usually calls for the definite article to be included in the translation. Most of that, I would say, I don't recall a translation in which the definite article wasn't indicated, but uh, it is not in the Greek. Okay, but when it comes to the English, it should be indicated. So the apocalypse of Jesus Christ. Okay, so the next clause begin with a relative is a relative clause, which is we makes this clause a dependent clause. Okay, a dependent clause. Sorry. And what's the first thing you need to do when you are attempting to translate the Greek is you have to locate your subject. Usually, not usually, but it is going to be in the nominative. Uh, it is going to be in the nominative. Now, the way that is going to be helpful for you to identify which one of those words is the subject is by keeping in mind a few things. Number one, uh, the subject can be listed as in this case, the subject is listed. Now, how do I know that this is a subject? Well, because you already took Greek 1 and you probably taking Greek 2. So you already know your endings, you know the definite article, you know that this word is in the nominative. And it has the article. And as William Mounce, used to say, the definite article is your friend. So because the definite article will, if it is in the nominative, the definite article will tell you that the word that follows is in the nominative. And that's exactly the case here. Theos is in the nominative. So this is my subject. But sometimes the subject can be embedded in the text, embedded in the main verb. I just say it that way. So it is not indicated by any article. There is no nominative in the sentence, nearby or far away. So the only thing that you find is the verb. So the subject might be embedded in the verb, or the subject might be implied. Those are the things that you need to keep in mind as you try to start your Greek translation. Okay. Uh, Keep that in mind. You have to locate the subject, and once you locate the subject, now gonna have to jump into translating now your main verb, which is what you follow. Because you need the subject and you need the action that this subject is going to execute. And after you have indicated the subject, which in this case is edoken, from didomi, to give. Then what follows is either the direct object, which is the accusative, or the indirect object, which is the dative. So you have to do it in that sequence so you won't get lost in your translation. So first you got your subject, nail it, grab it, and then go and find your main verb, okay? And then once you find your main verb, and then what you need to do next is, okay, where is my accusative, which is the direct object, okay? And then once you find your accusative, and then, okay, where is my indirect object, which is the dative? And that's the kind of the sequence you follow when you are doing, especially Greek translated from the Greek. All right, so here is my subject, here is my main verb, and here's my relative clause, which God gave to him. Okay, now here is an infinity. I'm gonna translate it with a nuance in my mind, and I'm gonna explain that nuance when we get to explain those nuances. Okay, so the relationship described which God gave to God gave with the purpose, or with the purpose with the purpose to show to his servant what is about to take place soon. Okay, and once again, and what is his subject? It's not listed. It's embedded in the main verb, semaino, semamen, semanen. Okay, it's embedded here in the main verb. So that's the thing that you need to keep in mind as you translate. And he made it known. Once again, I'm gonna translate the nuances of the different components uh, with my uh, syntactical nuance in mind, but I'm gonna explain them later. Okay, so and he made it known by sending through his angel to his by sending it through his angel to his servant John. Okay, verse 2. Who once again, where's the subject? It's embedded in the verb. Okay. Martureo is the main verb here. So this is an eros tense. So you have to translate it as a simple past. For now, we're going to translate it as a simple past. When we do more in-depth analysis, syntax analysis, we might translate it in a different way. So who gave testimony? So martureo is to give testimony many times at the cost of your own life or at risk of your own life. Who gave testimony to the word of God and to the testimony of Jesus Christ, to uh, what he saw. Okay, to what he saw. Verse 3. Blessed, blessed. Now, this is the first of the seven beatitudes that we find in the book of Revelation. And Dr. Branko Stefanovic has done a very nice chiastic structure with the same beatitudes in his commentary on the book of Revelation. Very beautiful. Uh, then blessed is he who reads and who hear the word of this prophecy and keep what is written in it, for the time is near. Now I want to pause here. uh, uh, Hogar, this uh, this word gar conjunction, it is always in the Greek text and in second place. It's never in the first place. But when you translate it into English, you always translate it first. Always, all the time. So or because in other scenarios, in this case, for the time is near. So that's kind of the general translation, uh, as literal as possible, with some syntax nuance already incorporated into that translation. Okay, so we're gonna move on now, doing the exegetical, uh, the syntax analysis and the exegetical analysis of this particular passage. Okay, we're gonna begin with the phrase Jesu Christu. This is a very interesting phrase. Now, this is a genitive, okay? Jesu Christu, the revelation of Jesus Christ. The first question you need to ask when you are doing exegetical analysis, or you're doing not actually doing syntax analysis, you're gonna do theological analysis after that, is what kind of genitive is this? What kind of accusative is this? What kind of participle is this? So you identify the type of word or phrase that you have in front of you in the Greek New Testament, and then you ask yourself, what kind of word is this? If this is an accusative, what kind of accusative? If it is a genitive, what kind of genitive? If it is a dative, what kind of dative? If it is a participle, what kind of participle? Always ask yourself that question before you go into theological debate or trying to seek a theological understanding. Always ask that question. Okay, so this is a genitive. I know this is a genitive because you're taking Greek 1 and then you're taking Greek 2 as well. So you know how to identify a genitive. So you know that this is a genitive. Okay. Okay. The next question is, what kind of genitive is this? How is this genitive functioning in the text? Very critical questions. Okay. Okay. So once you actually set that question, look for your quick guide. Okay, because you're gonna find in that guide all the genitives. The genitive 17, 18, 18 different categories for the genitive. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, but we're gonna try to narrow it down, and that is your work as an exegete and as someone who's trying to teach, analyze, and grasp theological understanding at a deeper level. You're gonna have to be familiar with these nuances. Uh, so 18 different nuances according to Wallace. I mean, there are all the authors that they uh, understand that there are fewer uh, nuances for the genitive, but the genitive is the richest, as Wallace used to say, is the richest uh, case in the Greek New Testament. So very significant. There are many passages in the Greek New Testament that are very rich when it comes to theology, when it comes to the Christian faith, and to understand better that Christian faith, the functioning of the genitive is very important, very critical. All right, so Jesu Christu, what kind of genitive is that? The first thing that comes to my mind as soon as I see it is a general categorization for the genitive, which is it can be possessive, it can just be descriptive genitive. I mean, all the genitives are descriptive, so they somehow describing something, and a great majority of the genitive you can say, oh, it's emphasizing possession, okay, but you have to go beyond that, okay? And then you need to keep asking yourself that question. Okay, what kind of genitive is this? Okay, once I see, oh, could be a genitive of possession, a prescriptive genitive. Those are general categorization. And then you need to keep pondering that question. Can this genitive uh, be identified as something, as another kind of genitive beyond the genitive of description or beyond the genitive of possession without the general categorization? And the answer is yes. Okay, so what are the options? So the options are this, I would say, could be a subjective or an objective genitive, or it can be a plenary genitive. Okay, I'm going to explain them quickly and then we'll try to move into the next one. What is a subjective genitive? A subjective genitive indicates that the subject is doing the action that is being implied in the text, meaning that this is a revelation that comes, and then you have to insert uh, the preposition from. This is a revelation from. Is there a revelation that comes from Christ, from Jesus Christ? There's a revelation that Jesus Christ is giving it. So he is the active subject of giving this revelation, which makes sense in the context. It fits the context because the revelation was given by God, and it was given to Christ, to Jesus Christ, and then Christ passed it on to his angel, and then his angel, and then passed it on to John. So yes, the revelation is a revelation that comes from Jesus Christ. It's a revelation from Jesus Christ. That fits the context. And a great, number of scholars will say absolutely that fits the context. That's the way it should be translated. But there is, you gotta keep pondering. You gotta keep asking the same question. Is there any other category? Is that in which this revelation can fit? And I would say maybe. Let's explore it. What about if I say that this is a genitive that is subjective? is objective instead of functioning subjective, is functioning as an objective genitive. Can that be possible within the context? Okay, let's explore it. All right. So the main thing to keep in mind when you are going to say that as a genitive is functioning as as an objective genitive is that this is a genitive that is about someone. It is concerning someone. It is relating uh, to someone. So this is about Jesus Christ. It's concerning Jesus Christ. It's about Jesus Christ. So can that fix the content? Is this revelation regarding Jesus Christ, concerning Jesus Christ? Well, absolutely. Look at if you get scroll down to your own Bible and you get to the epistolary introduction, in beginning with verse 4, you're gonna notice that if if I say that this is a genitive, can also be a genitive as that is objective. And then what I'm saying is that the author is about to make some statements concerning and about Christ, about Jesus Christ. What are those statements? Those statements are listed in in verse 4. And I'm gonna read it, I will not trust my memory. So I'm just gonna read it for you. Verse 5. And from Jesus Christ. See, here comes Jesus Christ. Okay, the faithful witness, the firstborn from the dead, the ruler of the kings of the earth, to him who loves us and has freed us from our sins by his blood and made us a kingdom, priest to his God and Father. So here you find John making statements about Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the firstborn. Jesus Christ is the ruler. You see what I mean? So this genetic can be treated as an objective genetic as well. Now, if the subjective and objective genitive can be validated by the context, and this is the point of Wallace in his book, if those two genetives can be validated, then we are talking about a plenary genitive, a genitive that embraces both concepts, the subjective and the objective. The subjective is the one who is doing the action of the revelation. Okay, and then objective is is telling me that the revelation is about and is concerning someone. In this case, is concerning is about Christ, and it is concerning or is regarding Christ. If those two meanings are not in conflict, okay, and they're not in they don't oppose to each other, but rather complement each other, then we can talk about this genitive being a plenary genitive. And I think this genitive embraces both. Now, the question that most scholars will ask, which one moves to the front? Which one makes the strongest point? And I think both make uh, a stronger point here in this context. I think that uh, you can emphasize one, but you cannot disregard the other one. So you have to put them because there's a revelation that it comes from Jesus, the one who is giving the revelation, but the revelation is also about him, regarding him. And those two, instead of one running in the front and the other running in the back, I think they're running together here. All right, let's move into. Okay, once again, let me get my pointer. I lost it. The next nuance we are going to discuss is this infinitive here. Uh, Deizai. Okay. And once again, because you have taken grade 1 and grade 2, you identify that this is an infinitive. This is an aorist infinitive, and is an active infinitive. Now, one little thing about the infinitive is the infinitive is a verbal noun, meaning that it behaves like a verb in occasions, but it also behaves as a noun. So that when it comes to classification, there are two main classifications for the infinitive. The first one is a adverbial category for the infinitive, meaning that uh, the nuances under that category emphasizes the verbal aspect of the infinitive. The other category is a substantival category in which the infinitive behaves as a substantive, as a noun. And as such, it can function as a subject, as an object, as an indirect object, uh, in, um, in other type of nuances. So keep those two categories in mind. Uh, so as soon as you see an infinitive, you gotta start asking yourself, okay, which category is this infinity belong to, and is it behaving and functioning as a substantive or as a noun, or is it functioning as a verb? So that is a very important question that you, as an exegete, and as someone who's trying to do exegetical analysis and syntax analysis, need to answer as soon as possible. Because that, as soon as you answer that question, then that will lead you into answering the specific nuance or the specific function of this infinitive in the sentence or in the clause or within the passage. Okay, so we know that this is an infinitive that is behaving as a verb, is behaving adverbially. Um, so it doesn't tell me in the text. It doesn't give me any clue that it is behaving as a noun, or should I take it substantively. So this is an adverbial infinitive. Okay, no. Now, so what are my options if I say that this is an adverbial infinitive? What are my options uh, to determine uh, what type of infinitive is this infinitive? Remember, your quick reference, is your best friend. You go there, you look at where the infinitive is located, and then you see all the possibilities. So some of the possibilities here is that this is an infinity that can be an infinity of purpose, that can be an infinity of result, can be an infinity of time, an infinity of a causative infinity, or it can be a complementary infinity. So those are some of the options that you're gonna have to quickly evaluate and then make a syntactical decision, and then make exegetical decisions thereafter. Okay, so now, so let's explore the possibilities here. The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave to him. Now, if I take this as an infinity of purpose, okay, I need to insert something in my translation that is telling me that there is a purpose embedded that in the in the in the Greek. Okay, and this is what Wallace would call the semantic dynamics. So yes, this is an infinitive, but how is it functioning in the text? The answer to that question, to answer that question, you're gonna have to answer the semantic idea, the meaning of this infinity in the text. Okay, so if I say that this is an infinity of purpose, I need to insert something in the text that tells my audience that there is a purpose embedded in my translation. Okay, so which God gave to him, okay, with a purpose, uh, with a purpose uh, to to show, because this word comes from the word deignomy, which means to show, to reveal. So to show to his servant, to his servants, what is about to take place, what is about to happen. So yes, this is for me. I would say this is an infinity of purpose, because it fixes the context. It flows well, and it doesn't tell me. It doesn't give me any clue or any indication that I should take this infinity as a substantival infinitive. So, uh, which God gave to him with a purpose to show it to his servants, what is about to take place. This is an infinity of purpose. Now, can it be an infinity of result? So, well, let's see if we can insert something in the translation that might indicate results in the flow that flows well with the meaning and the semantic ish dynamic. So if I say that is an infinity of result, maybe I could say which God gave to him with the results to show it to his servants that the the things or what is about to take place. I mean, it could be sometimes, grammarians, they have a hard time drawing a line between the infinity of results and the infinity of purpose. So many times they overlap a little bit, they overlap a lot in some of the cases. Uh, but there is a significant difference that might be able to help you make a determination whether or not this is an infinity of purpose or an infinity of result. The infinity of result or the infinity of purpose, according to Wallace, deals with the intention of the author. The author has an intentionality in mind. When he sets that intentionality in the in the front, uh, uh, or as the main thing that he wants to emphasize, then we can take the infinity as the infinity of purpose. Now, if the author is emphasizing results, and then you will be inclined to take this infinity as an infinity of results. But I think that the intention here of John is to stress the idea that the Christ that God gave this revelation to that God gave this revelation to Christ with the purpose to pass it on to his servants, uh, not to keep it, but to pass it on. So I will say that purpose has the strongest meaning and makes the strongest case for this kind of infinitive. Okay, apostelas. Uh, this participle. This is a participle that doesn't have the article. Remember that's one of the first questions. Doesn't have the article. If it doesn't have the article, then it could be adjectival or an adverbial participle. In this case, it is. I would say it is an adverbial participle, meaning it's functioning as a verb. And I would say, remember the option. What are the options for my participle? It's a participle of purpose, a participle of results, a participle of cause, a participle of purpose, a participle of complementary participle. All those are some of the options. I will say that this is a participle of means. So, and and he, he made it known by. So I need to insert something in the translation that indicates instrumentality. Instrumentality, and I insert the preposition by. So And he made it known by sending. By sending. So he made it known by sending. God sent, send what? By sending it, by sending it, sending the revelation through his angel. God sent the revelation through his angel to his servant John. And so this is, I would indicate this is a participle of purpose. All right, let's go into okay, let's go into verse 2, guys. We only have like a less than 10 minutes. I'm trying to keep this within half an hour only. All right, so this is the verse 2. Here is the translation. Okay, who, this is a relative pronoun, who uh, gave testimony, okay, from the word martureo and marturesin, okay. This is an aorist, so simple past. The way to translate it here, we don't have more time to explore those nuances of the aorist, which will be very interesting. But we're gonna keep it that way. Just gonna translate it as a simple past. So who gave testimony? Okay, this significant gave testimony to the word of God. This is in the word in an article in the accusative, followed by a genitive phrase, and once again a word in the accusative, followed by a genitive phrase. So the word of God, and to the testimony of Jesus Christ to all he saw. Now, these two, ton logon tu teu, kai te marturian Jesu Christu, those two phrases are in simple opposition, not opposition, but opposition. Okay, this is a very interesting nuance, meaning that the first clause is referring to the same entity in the second clause, and vice versa. The second clause is referring to the same entities in the first clause. So the word of God and the testimony of Jesus Christ, they're both the same. That's what John is saying. So when John speaks about the word of God, John is talking about the testimony of Jesus Christ, and it makes sense with verse 1, because this if this is a subjective, a plenary genitive, this is a revelation uh, that came from God, but it also came from Christ. So you cannot separate those two. And then here, the fact that John is putting these two sentences in opposition stresses that this is a prophecy that comes from God, yes, but this is a prophecy that comes from Jesus as well. And you cannot separate uh, the origin of this prophecy. This is a prophecy that has a divine origin. This is not something that John came out with and then just put it in writing because the poor guy was suffering so much in the island of Patmos that he didn't have anything else to do. Absolutely not. This is a divine prophecy. This is a divine writing that is being given to John. Okay, it came from God and it came also from Christ, and they both the source of this revelation. And the fact that John is putting these two phrases in the work and the testimony of Jesus Christ in opposition tells you that this is how John is looking at this prophecy. All right, let's go. Okay, so we're going to come back here to the general rule for the participle according to Wallace. If the participle if the participle has the article, it is adjectival. If the participle doesn't have the article, it could be adjectival or any adverbial participle. Uh, in this case, we are taking this participle, anaginoskon, and akuontes as participle that are functioning adjectively uh, as an uh, as an adjective. Okay, they have the articles, in and we translated them as a relative clause. So that's a good conclusion there. Now this one here doesn't have the article, but the context seems to call uh, to consider this thereuntes participle also as an adjectival participle, meaning that it's functioning as an adjective. Because the general rule is that if it doesn't have the article, it may be adjectival or any other participle. So with that in mind, uh, then this participle may be another adjectival participle, because if I say this participle is functioning adverbially because it doesn't have the article, uh, then I will have to explore the possibility of this participle being a temporal participle, a participle of mean, a participle of cause, a conditional participle of manner, a participle of concession, a participle of purpose. But none of those meanings seems to fit in there unless you force it into the text. For example, let's consider the participle of the conditional participle. The words of this prophecy, and if we consider this to be a adverbial participle, and we say that it might be a conditional participle, saying we're gonna have to insert something that tell us about something that relates to condition, like the preposition if. So the words of this prophecy, and then we're gonna have to translate this as a finite verb. So if they keep what is written in it, but it doesn't flow well, by being a participle of a condition. Uh, and if we say that it is a participle of purpose, let's say the one who reads and those who hear the word of these prophecies. In order to keep what is written in it, a participle of purpose. These are the things that you need to keep in mind as you struggle with a text when you do syntax and exegetical analysis. These are the nuances. Maybe a participle of purpose. Hear the words of this prophecy. In order to keep what is written in it. It could be functioning as a participle of purpose. So we could take this as a participle adverbial participle, meaning that the nuance is a participle of purpose. So the reading and the listening of the words of this prophecy is given for the purpose to keep what is written in it. So purpose may fit the context. Okay, that could be another possibility that is not too far away from the kingdom of God. Now the next participle. So that's another That's another option that I can think of quickly. Now, the last participle, gramina, is also an adjectival participle. It has an article, although it's way at the beginning, and the participle is way at the end of the clause. As we know that this article belongs to this because they agree in case number and gender. So it is a participle of adjectival participle, functioning as an adjective. So same as the other three participles here that also have the article. So three participles that are functioning as an adjective, and one participle that is functioning as a verb, adverbially, adjectively, three participles, one participle that is functioning um, adverbially as a verb. So really interesting, really interesting. Now, there's one more thing that I want to add here, and this is related to the present tense that is all over here, over this passage. This present tense participle, present tense participle, present tense participle, all of them are in present tense participle. So meaning that this is an action that is a continuous action. It's a continuous action. So the reading needs to keep on going. The listening needs to keep on going. And the keeping needs to keep on going, needs to keep on going, needs to keep on going. So this is an ongoing thing. The present tense is very, very significant in this passage. So I hope that this was helpful to understand a little bit more these passages. Let me know your comments, your feedback. We'll appreciate this. God bless you. Until next time.